I came here today largely because I currently work on our iOS infrastructure team. And so we have a big platform focus, which means that we naturally care tons about topics concerning our app's performance and stability. And that's been a huge help. Thanks to the folks from Sentry.
I'm a mobile developer with over 10 years of experience. I'm here to just share the challenges we have run into building mobile experiences in Riot Games and Riot Mobile.
While battery is typically thought of as like a device metric, the second you start getting user complaints saying that, hey, when I use a Nextdoor app or when the Nextdoor app runs in the background, I feel the back of my phone heating up, that is now like a user complaint, right? And that is almost as high, or in that case, it will be treated with higher priority than just like a crash rate or TTI. But we generally care here a lot more about what our users are seeing and experiencing over some like over maybe device metrics, or even like internal like DX metrics, such as build times. I would say, as a principle, we probably would rather reduce our user TTI by 30% rather than reduce like our internal build times by 30%, right?
More widely, what triggers an organization to go from like errors to performance? Basically from going, I'm monitoring my errors, okay, but I need more.
We've had several big spikes in the past few years around trying to fix mobile performance. Once around TTI, when essentially enough people started just using the app, and we're just literally asking ourselves, hey, I'm seeing this loading screen for like just way too long. It doesn't feel right. When I use another app like Facebook or Messenger, Facebook Family, or even some smaller applications, Twitter, it loads much faster, right? And there's nothing in the laws of physics that says like we have to load slower. And so I think that's a big component, which is just using the app and using other apps and just having a feeling like something doesn't feel right. And then we start defining metrics and numbers that we want to hit, and then those end up being the backstop for the future.
But I hope nothing changes too much, at least in coming few years. I think the paradigm shift with declarative UI is enough for now. I especially hope more API stability for Jetpack Compose in coming year or two. Interesting how multi-platform or the cross-platform is going to evolve. And anecdotally, in recent couple of years, I'm not hearing as much about React Native anymore, and more kind of like shifting towards Flutter. I am excited on where the Kotlin multi-platform is going to move, obviously, because we use it. I'm interested in what is going to be that next big player in cross-platform. Is it going to be progressive web apps? Is it going to be something else? I do foresee Google and Apple still pushing for larger screens, for larger formats. So tablet support is at very least going to be pushed for. There's obviously the foldable devices now that come into existence. I don't see it happening soon, but who knows, when a form factor which would work for all of the mainstream users is found, I'm pretty sure at that point Apple will jump in, and at that point everyone will use a foldable device. For us, partnership has become closer due to performance monitoring. I can tell you how that started. It's just we have been tracking performance for a while. It's not a new thing. We have been using Firebase performance monitoring before. It just wasn't enough. We have evaluated other tools alongside Sentry as we were looking into adopting it. Sentry came out and very clearly on top based on the capabilities it offers. We don't want to have engineers, as I think Walt alluded to, that have to be experts in the area to be able to optimize performance at all, and for anyone to just be able to jump in and see something actionable. And that's where Sentry kind of helps us.
The Sentry team is really good at understanding what us as developers want. And so I have noticed a pattern of we build something internally because we're like, oh, we should start tracking this. And then turns out that, we have a tool, but it's like, it kind of works. And, it works enough to like solve our use cases, but it's like clunky to use. Only certain people really know how to use it to its full potential. And then, Sentry will come out with a full-fledged feature, right? Very recently, Sentry has like this performance and observability around spans. And so, we can kind of track the entire essentially like down to the function of an entire span over like multiple seconds, right? So you can see like thousands of data points on a flame graph. And that's something we've always had in backend world, but through Python's instrumentation, but not necessarily in Swift. And we used to write like all these little markers in code that would suck. And then you would have to interpret numbers and average them together. And only a few people actually knew how to read that. But then, when Sentry comes out with tooling like this, it is super helpful because it's like there's an entire enterprise ready and production ready application to help you there. So we've kind of used Sentry for most of our mobile use cases on any types of stability and performance, and that goes from crash rates to hang rates, to even like fixing those things, just because we get better stack traces and things are grouped and tagged. It's just easier to get aggregate data and create conclusions.